All right, so next we're going to try a new technique, and it's something we looked at very briefly with, at least in my animation, I had something exploding. And so I thought it'd be fun this week to keep things very simple to start, but to do some really, interesting animation by having a firework go off. And again, we're going to stick with black for now, but once I've stopped the video, feel free to experiment with any colors you like. So my first frame is going to be my rocket. So I just drew a rocket down here, very simple kind of rectangular shape. Then I'm going to come down and make another frame. So I'm going to have this kind of, let's just draw with my mouse for now. I'm going to have it just kind of wobbling for maybe 6 frames. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Now let's check the speed. We've got this kind of speedometer icon here. If we click that, we can see that we're at 6 frames per second. And that's perfect for our animations. For what we're doing at the moment, that's absolutely ideal. That means in 1 second of our animation, there will be 6 individual frames, 6 individual pictures. So we should get 1 second here of that waiting to take off. Now, if I wanted to build up the suspense, I'd maybe do 2, even 3 seconds of this just bubbling and then flying up in the air. But I'm going to do just one second for now, so you guys get the idea. So let's see, we're on frame, about to come into frame 7. I'm going to click add here. So this is where it's going to take off. Here, I'm going to draw slightly higher. If I do it offset, remember we did our wiggly line last week, I'm offset by that much. So I go further, but I start after in terms of coming up here. So I'm not drawing exactly on the same spot. I'm drawing a bit later and carrying on a bit longer. So I'm going to undo that and actually do it on top this time. Now I want to accelerate. Acceleration is getting faster, which means I want the spacing between each of these to be different. So this is going to take off really quickly, but still accelerate. So my next frame, my distance from the last frame to that frame was there. I want this one to be a bit further. And I'm trying to keep them the same size as well. Now this one's actually going to put a gap in between. And this one's going to go even further. So the gap's going to be bigger. There's the gap there. Let's do a bigger gap here. And it's slightly stretched, but that's fine for now. If I was doing this for an animation, I'd probably start measuring things. So maybe we've reached our constant speed by now. We're going to go right to the top here. And this is where we're going to explode. Let's just watch that so far. So if I hit play, we've got it wobbling, takes off. You see the way it gets quicker? It moves. Let's see. The next frame then is going to be the start of the explosion. So all I'm going to do is have little dots, lines coming out like that. Now it looks like in version 2 here, the algorithm must be slightly different for the way it draws, because those dots were shrinking back in, but that's absolutely fine. So here's the start of our explosion. Again, we want these to, if we can, accelerate out. So they're going to move slowly to start with. And then they're going to move, and they might go longer and longer. And this is why the onion skinning, maybe we'll get another bit start to appear out of here and here. This is why the onion skinning is so important, so that we can see where we were. Remember, animation only works if each frame is slightly different from the one before. Just different enough to create the illusion. Remember, animation is an illusion. It's actually a trick of the brain. If we weren't able to be tricked like this, then movies would not exist as we know it. They wouldn't be enjoyable to watch. Well, they would, if you like watching photographs, for example. But we certainly wouldn't see Now, if you think about how a firework goes, after a while, if the bits are still lit up, they start to come down again, don't they? And so you quite often get this kind of rainy type of thing happening. Now before we also used the opacity tool, which I don't see just yet, so I'm going to come back to that when I've actually found the opacity tool. Anyway, let's have a look at this now. They've moved it in version 2. Here we go. So we've got our firework, flies up, comes down. Even without the opacity tool, that's kind of cool. I'm going to stop the video now. I'm going to let you guys have a play with this. You might like your firework to take slightly longer to take off. You certainly might like to try and play with colours. You might like to try and find the opacity tool. I'm going to find it now and explain that in the next video.